Okay. Hello, everyone, again. Welcome to Solar Energy Room, Chile, where we'll be talking about photovoltaic energy with two very interesting panelists. So let's start with Felipe Ernst, Chilean attorney, university professor, and former diplomat. With extensive experience in Europe and postgraduate studies in Germany, the Netherlands, and Switzerland. He is senior partner at the law firm BETZ Legal Partners in Santiago, Chile, and also a member of GPSA since its creation. Mr. Ernst has an extensive experience in the legal assistance to foreign SEMs, mainly from the DAC zone in their installation and further operation in Chile. His areas of activity are corporate, foreign investment, immigration, labor, and tax law. Please, Felipe, you may take over the microphone.
Thank you very much, Damiris. Hello, Peter. Good afternoon in Europe to everyone. Good afternoon here in Latin America as well. No, good morning. My greetings from Chile. Many thanks to GPSA for this invitation to be part of such an interesting webinar. I'm very pleased to present you some facts and developments on that are taking place in the Chilean clean energy markets, and most concretely here on the PV energy. The challenges posed by climate change have put clean energies at the center of the interest worldwide, and therefore, for instance, the recent opening of a thermosolar plant in Latin America, the biggest in Latin America, in northern Chile, called Cerro Dominador, we will see some pictures later, represents the last step of a series of projects and investments on non-conventional renewable energies that are taking place here in South American region. Among the clean energies, solar energy is one with the greatest expansion in Chile, and we will talk about this and PV energy. Recent publications in the world press have, for instance, the Financial Times last Monday, 2 days ago, have highlighted the Chilean policy in renewable energies and consider it one of the most ambitious in the world, whereby Chile takes advantage of its natural advantages, of course, like the desert we will see now, and with the strong irradiation capacity, and the very strong winds in southern Patagonia. Finally, before I start with the presentation, I would like to also inform that yesterday the Minister of Energy in Chile announced the shutting down, the closing down of 65% of the remaining coal-firing power industries here in Chile, which means a big step forward for the clean energies and the renovation in the matrix, as we will see now. So this is enough, and please go to the first slide. Tamiris, here we can see what Chile, how Chile is linked to the world. For several years, being a very small economy, it's only 18 million people, Chile has been linked to the world with free trade agreements, as you may see in the left side picture, and these free trade agreements link us to a big part, 86% of the world GDP. That was in 2010. It's more or less the same today. So this is important. And then on the right side, you may see all the double taxation agreements and the countries we have them in force with, and those we are in negotiation with. One of them is Germany. And so these sort of agreements make it much easier for companies to make business once installed in Chile. Please, let's go to the next slide, where we will play a very short video that unfortunately cannot be the sound cannot be reproduced, but I will be explaining what it is about. This video is a presentation of former Vice President of the US, who has been very, very important in the climate change subject and matter. And we will see what he is saying and how he shows. This video is from 2016. I would like to start my presentation with it. Please go ahead with it. Here, the presentation goes showing how in many countries in Africa, in Latin America, the energy sector has suffered big changes. And now with the eruption of solar energy, some solar panels are even taken in the roofs of houses in Africa. But he's talking about Chile and how Chilean policy is changing, and saying that 2013 there were 100 megawatts, and now for 2014 800 megawatts. But what's going on and what the investments are, those are the 5 years ago, how he shows the Chilean solar market growing, coming to a very important amount of 13.3 gigawatts as a very, very attractive and interesting possibility for Chile, and how the local policy is tending to that. So that was 5 years ago, and we will see here he explains something very interesting, that 1 hour of solar energy covers the needs of all economies in the world for 1 complete year. So the importance of this energy. Now we go to the next slide, please, where we can see how the matrix is composed today. And we will see on the red part, how it's Spanish, unfortunately, but it's 37% of the matrix is composed of coal today. And as I explained a few minutes ago, it's very good news that 65% of this will be shut down in the coming couple of years by decision announced yesterday by the government. On the right side, we can see the potential we have in the renewable energies, and you will see that photovoltaic, it's the last one, has a huge potential. Please, can we go to the next one? Here we will see a dream of us is to become totally renewable. And for our power generation, is it possible? Well, everything shows that there are some big options of doing so. Power generation will be almost 100% renewable by 2050 in Chile, which was unthinkable some time ago. You may see with the green color, that's the wind power, and the potential of this green wind power, which is growing in investment and production in southern Chile, in Patagonia, where, by the way, 2 or 3 companies just started working on green hydrogen projects with huge investments, 500 million US recently, last week was announced. And we will see also that the solar and photovoltaic energy will grow and will be more and more a bigger part of our matrix of energy and power matrix. This is what we expect. Things have gone much faster than expected. 5 or 6 years ago, it was very difficult to even imagine the trend that the energy market has taken since then. Can we please go to the next slide? Here there are some important milestones. There are some transformations that are taking the country clearly to a cleaner and less centralized power grid. In fact, Bloomberg's climate scope from last year reported that Chile ranks as the most attractive country in the world for renewables, for investments in renewables. Because as said, this huge solar possibilities in the north of Chile, together with the huge winds in the south of Chile, do a very important contribution to these possibilities. There's today we have around 28% of our matrix covered by renewable energies. Out of this 28, solar energy takes 53%, which is huge. And this is important because not very long ago, many of us thought that it would be very difficult to change the coal matrix and make it cleaner. But it has gone well and fast. May we go to the next one, please? This last February, the Chilean Energy Commission, which registers the projects and provides the permissions, registered 112 solar PV photovoltaic projects under construction with a capacity of 3.1 gigawatts out of 162 projects, so electric generation projects. This trend is expected to accelerate in the coming years, while only a half a decade ago, 5 years ago, the most optimistic experts thought that the country could achieve 90% of renewable matrix by 2050, the most optimistic ones. Now, given the current trend, it's very possible that things will go that way, but 10 years before, in 2040. Please, let's go to the next slide, Tamiris. Well, this picture shows much more than what I can say in 1 year. I mean, you can see the solar and irradiation conditions in northern Chile as quite unique, probably only comparable to certain parts in Central Africa, probably, but they have a huge potential, and it's there precisely where many companies, big companies, have started their business, even when the rest of the country also have good conditions. The point is that they are extremely high and attractive. Please, Tamiris, let's go to the next one. As a Chilean market, in a general overview, Chile is, as we saw a few minutes ago from some of the questions posed, one of the big doubts or fears is political instability, economical instability. Chile has shown for years very stable economic and political policies and life. It has grown steadily. It has developed. In fact, all this renewable energies policies come from a previous government. The most important developments from a previous government, but have been followed by this government and will follow most probably in the next one. So it's a national policy. Chile has a high credit worthiness and has a very active for investment attraction policy is a gateway to investments in energy for South America. The generation market for electricity power is completely liberalized. There are some features there that you may see, but in general terms, it's a very open country for investment, and open also for investment in clean energies. Please, let's go to the next slide. Going to the concrete photovoltaic energy, best solar irradiation conditions worldwide, as said before. Regulation mandates 20% of the generated power to come from non-conventional renewable energies in 2025. As we just saw, today it's 28%. So we have surpassed this goal. Here we have on the right hand side, we see some pictures on transmission. On the upper side, the transmission projects. There are 46 current under construction. Sorry, $820 million in investment under construction, also in transmission. Almost 800 kilometers of lines. Then we have the picture of this Cerro Dominador, the greatest project on thermal solar energy in Latin America, second in the world, which was just inaugurated last month. Let's go, please, to the next slide. Here I present some of the current political and technical discussions. If we can come to 100% renewable energy matrix by between 2040 to 2050, this is quite ambitious, but some of the experts are confident that we will get there. The coal phase out and carbon pricing schemes, we just talked about the closing down of 3/4 of the carbon power industries in Chile. The role of distribution generation, green hydrogen potential. This is important since production of hydrogen as fuel is quite expensive. The green hydrogen with these sources of clean energy like wind and photovoltaic in the north are very convenient for the production. We have to community empowerment. It's important that more and more people gets involved in these policies and projects. It's important also the digitalization of the industry. Please, let's go to the next one. These are very general features that, and here I would like to end with a short video with our Minister of Energy. This video took place, was recorded about 2 weeks ago, and he refers to Al Gore's presentation, the one we just saw at the beginning. And in this case, also, I will have to translate what he's saying because unfortunately there's no audio in this video. So let's play the video, please, and I'll try to translate as. Do you remember Al Gore's video? And that is the one we saw some minutes ago regarding the very exciting and attractive Chilean energy policies 5 years ago. So that was 13.1 I think giga, yes. And now he's saying, the minister says that everyone thought it was a dream, something that was built just to provoke some reaction on some countries. But the situation in Chile has become much more interesting since then, in the last 5 years. On the left side, you will see Al Gore's projection on his presentation. And what is going on in Chile is shown by the right side graphic, the blue one, sorry, growing and growing, and has grown more than double. It has more than doubled Al Gore's projections, 31.3 gigawatts to this year. So if we go to the very last slide, please. No, the next one. Here, I say goodbye. I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you have enjoyed this information. Thank you very much, Tamiris. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you very much for our incredible insights. It's always a pleasure having you with us. And now I introduce you Mr. Peter Bettin. He's German, carrying both engineering and economics degrees, has been executive in different industries, and he's definitely excited about photovoltaic since 2008. Former CEO of Sybac International, with partners since 2014 in Chile, where he is developing, structuring, and constructing more than 24 PV parks so far, or has it under construction. And before I hand over the microphone to you, Peter, I will show to the audience a short video of yours that we'll definitely want to hear the history about afterwards. Okay, we'll share. I think you can see the screen now.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you very much, Tamiris. Thank you for showing this video. It took just 40 seconds, to show you how a plant is being constructed here. And in fact, photovoltaic is not a rocket science. It takes to construct a park in between 3 to 7 months on the technical field. And we have done this very many times. And let me get started here. What I've done is I've used on my slide package in the background always parks we have constructed. So far, I have under operations 13 parks, which with my local partners and we have developed, which we have constructed and handed over to different equity investors. As of now, we have in July 3 parks in parallel in construction and 9 further parks in late stage development to be constructed towards the end of next year completely, together with a German financing, German-Chilean financing and developing and constructing partnership. So my role is basically, or has been, in structuring this, and I'm supporting the rollout and concentrate very much also on kind of key component sourcing and making sure that the rollout continues smoothly. Would you please move on the next slide, which is pretty much said right now. It's some details about myself, as just said. And let me get started with the following slide with some general remarks about photovoltaic. We have heard this already from Felipe. PV has become a commodity and is still improving its performance. When I started in 2008 in Germany, the prices were around about $5,000 per kilowatt peak, and now prices are 85% down. So we are far below $1,000 for building a plant. and this significant reduction of component cost has also led to much lower levelized cost of energy. In parallel, the energy prices have come down per megawatt in parallel following this trend. And the good thing is for someone moving into an investment in PV is that PV energy is very highly predictable. You can run a planning, and from the production side, you have pretty good insight what the output will look like. And what the investors look for is certainly long-term energy compensation models from best rated partners, and be this countries or be this also private off-takers. So what we see now is that market models change from fixed feed-in tariffs now to auctions and even fully open market models as we have it in Chile, which require quite some insight prior taking an investment decision. Please move on, Pamir, on the next slide. Putting myself a little bit into the shoes of an investor, what is important? Certainly, if you want to invest in PV, you should have some understanding of PV, and certainly also very carefully select the country, the target country, and have an understanding of their existing governance and rules and regulations. The second point of importance is when you look at projects to determine what location and what size you go for. Basically, what does the investment target look like? Are you going for a large park in the north of Chile where the radiation is very high, or do you look for a portfolio of smaller parks, maybe in the center of Chile, if we speak about Chile, where you are closer to the consumer and where the energy is being used without the need of a long transmission line? Then the further question of importance always is when taking an investment, do you move in at very early stage or do you move in at late stage, which is very much depending on the investor's risk profile. And at the end, what you have to do is pull a business plan together for your investment and see what are the key performance indicators and how can they be met. When structuring projects, you always look also on a good balance of local content and, I call it here, international contribution. Local content can be the labor, the EPC company that is providing the service. International contribution can be the structuring, can be the procurement, and certainly is the components that are coming either from China or from Europe, from other parts of the world where these components are being produced. A point of importance always to be considered is, as most projects are in between 70 and 80% financed, that bankability requirements are being met throughout the construction, in the selection of the components, and at the end in the execution as well, to make sure that the financing is happening as required. A further point I'd like to mention here is to have a good, sound evaluation of risk and figure what kind of mitigation mechanisms along the value chain can be installed and implemented as needed. Please move on, Tamiris, on the next slide. Then when it comes to the setup, it's important for an investor to figure, is the setup in a way that it's a full ownership, or does it make sense to cooperate even with a local partner in a venture and structure the project and the activity this way? Mostly it's done in a way that a project is a special purpose vehicle, a company that is holding the assets, that is holding the rights, and if there is many of them, they are bundled underneath a joint venture that is kind of the parent entity owned by the investor or by the venture. Then it's always important looking at a value chain and then with the selected shareholders to determine their roles, which means to make clear who is in charge, who is accountable for what part of the execution or for achieving certain deliverables. And it's always very important that it's clear that here on the allocation of responsibility is very clear. Another topic, when structuring is to be compliant with tax issues, and Felipe has mentioned this before, to look if there is double tax avoidance treaties in place. Otherwise, a very nice model might fall apart when it comes to the execution. So certainly here a clean analysis is needed. If there is no double tax avoidance solution in place, there's mechanisms being installed as in between Germany and Chile, where third parties are being used as a bridge to avoid negative impacts here on the financial model. Please go on the next slide. Then being more specific about the Chilean energy compensation models, of course, as it is always in other markets, very interesting is having best rated partners and signing power purchasing agreements if they're available. For Chile, this is existing, but also there is a spot market which offers chances and risks as it's more fluctuating. And what we have done, or what I've done with my partners, we moved into the so-called PMGD projects that are up to 9 megawatt AC with a stabilized price that give a much stronger and much longer term line of sight in the planning of the pricing. And today, and this will last until May next year, there is 24-hour blocks in the pricing existing with a grandfathering of, depending on when you count it, from 13 to 14 years. So it's really a long-term planning. And after, next year, there will be 5 daily blocks in the pricing with the objective of Chile to make the future PV plants in the setup with batteries or with other ways of storage, so that also a PV plant can inject their energy during the night. So what always is important is to understand the key drivers in your business model, what drives the output, and how to manage it best to make sure that an activity, a project is sound and very, very solid. Please move on to the next slide, Tamiris. So when moving into new activities, new projects, a traditional analysis certainly is to look for the land. And as I mentioned before, what is the location? In Chile, in the north, we have very high radiation. In the center, radiation is a little bit lower, but it's a different node, and the nodes have different prices. So this is a very specific decision to be taken. Then when it comes to the land, there is normally the option to purchase the land and have the rights forever, or to rent it out for normally 20 plus twice 5 years, 30 years for the duration of the park. And we combine both options. Looking at the land also means that you have to have sound contracts in place that give you the rights over the land, and also the easements, meaning the connection points to the grid, which is the next point, making sure that from the property where you harvest the solar energy, the grid is well connected and you have the full rights. When looking at the grid, it's also very important to see what cost of connection are to be considered in your plan, and do enforcement costs for the grid exist at this specific spot, as this impacts also your business plan. Further aspects to be looked at in Chile and other countries is certainly the soil, and it's a so-called change of soil to PV land. And a lot of mistakes have been made here, that a property which is agricultural property was considered to become PV land, and this doesn't work. PV is in land quality of inferior level. You can get this approved, but if the quality is too good, it doesn't work. And this certainly also is a point of importance to be looked at, when you start developing, investing into property, so that a due diligence at the end will confirm that this property is okay for harvesting energy from a solar plant for the next 30 years. On the environmental side, depending on the size, there is a pertinencia up to 3 megawatts, and there is RSA DIA permits required for plants that are bigger, which are basically environmental impact analysis studies confirming that the park is not having any negative impact. IFC, construction permits, mining permits, and other local permits complete this picture, which is important to be confirmed or to get confirmed by lawyers before investing and moving on a planning. What we figured, at the end, looking at the business plan, what also is impacting the cost, the total cost of ownership of the EPC during construction, is having a very sound look at key components, which are normally trackers, panels, transformers, inverters, and have this very well under control to ensuring that the schedule targeting in the business plan is being met, and that this over the process lifetime is well looked at, ensuring you get what you wish to get in terms of quality output, but also when acquiring in terms of the total pricing till the product is installed in your site. When developing since 2014 till now, the solutions, we figured that insurance also can help to mitigate risk. And we have by now insurances in place that not only protect the asset in terms of an all risk insurance, cover you for damages in terms of liability, but also can cover the scheduled production and even covering a high percentage of the revenue. So there is revenue loss insurances in place now, up to 90% of the scheduled production output. And this has become very attractive for investors because it helps to balance and to secure your investment and your ROI. Yeah, please move on, Tamiris. So my conclusion is that PV in Chile, from the experience of the last 7 years, is a great opportunity with the right target in place. It, however, requires a dedication. It requires also a long-term view. To say it requires even breadth and a setup with the right stakeholders, serving best the requirement of this very specific value chain. So my conclusion and recommendation is to focus on a strong PV proposition, install a sound team of those that have the specific knowledge, invest and execute thoroughly with a clear KPI monitoring with progress of achievement and a good risk mitigation in place. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Great, thank you, Peter, thank you, Felipe, again for your great presentations. And now it's time to the interaction part, and we will start addressing some of the audience questions to the speakers. Okay, so please, now we encourage you to open your cameras and your microphones as you wish, and you can ask questions directly to our speakers if you have some. Okay, but if you don't want to, if you don't feel comfortable opening your cameras or microphones, you can also send us your questions via the chat function. Okay, you can see the chat in the panel control, and but you have the chance to participate actively. So please be our guest. If anyone has any questions to our speakers, please go ahead. Okay, I guess nobody wants to talk on the microphone or camera, but we have received some questions here on the chat. And I have one here for Felipe, Ernst. Is this renewable energy change widely known and accepted by the population? What do you think about that?
Well, the population in Chile is starting to benefit from from the prices going down, understanding that the very polluted industries, or the industries polluting the air because of the coal producing electricity, are going away and they harm population. So I think this renewable energies industries are more and more gaining favor and addition from adherence from the population in Chile strongly, mostly the young generations. Yes.
Agreed. I think so too. And I have also one question here for Peter. Peter, you mentioned that insurances are being used to protecting the investment assets and covering liability. You also said that even revenue loss can be insured. Can you explain how this works?
Yeah. When we're speaking to investors, you know, they look at volatility of plans, and on the other side, in PV, production is moving up and down, but if you look over a certain period of time, it's quite stable. And investors to PV plants have seen that this is happening and figured it's a good way to offer a very innovative product. And we discussed this, and basically what we have done, we included such a mechanism into our all risk insurance, and the insurer with a little surplus agreed to protect 90% of the projected income, because on the long run, with the big numbers, it's a good business for them and for us and for the investors. It creates very stable income planning, because if it's not happening as scheduled, it will be covered with such a floor. And we are happy to have such a product introduced from a big European insurance company, you know, that is doing this worldwide. And so we brought this product to Chile, and it's in favor of the investors.
Thank you, Peter, for the explanation. And I will ask again if someone wants to open their microphones or cameras. If don't, I will make one more question that we have received. And then, okay, this is for Felipe Ernst. Felipe, do you see options of escalating the current process of PV energy to a much wider and global scope?
Yes, since I'm not being a technical expert on this, but I see how prices have gone down. And at least in Chile, I see, and we saw in one of the graphs, that the PV energy is gaining terrain, more and more place in the Chilean energy production system. So I see that this PV solar energy will have more and more importance. There are on the newspapers informations about new investments. The projects that are being studied and approved by the authorities are more and more. So indeed, there's a clear trend. Important investments, and I see that, as I think I mentioned very shortly during my presentation, that with this clean energy, PV energy, solar energy, the process of producing green hydrogen will be, of course, much cheaper than with other sources of energy, and will be more generalized. So I see an escalation in the sense that it can be used as itself, as a source of energy, important and more with a more and more coverage in the country. But at the same time, it can be used for the production of this hydrogen as fuel. Everyone is talking about and dreaming about, and so Chile can play an important role, in my view, without being an expert, I repeat, but for what I have read and seen, with this clean energy in the production of green hydrogen. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Peter, again. And unfortunately, we are running out of time at the moment. But thanks to the panelists for sharing your invaluable insights and experiences on renewables. We hope we could answer your questions. And for any unanswered question, please feel free to contact us by email. Okay, I believe between tomorrow or Friday, we'll be sending the retrospective of this event, where you can reply also us with specific questions, not only regarding Argentina, but also any other countries that were part of this event. Okay, thank you all for your participation, and have a blessed afternoon or evening wherever you are. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao.